What's up, everybody? This is episode 25 of the Pitside Podcast. We're at the quarter century mark. We've got a really cool episode for you this week. We've got the deepest voice in the G-Force Racing Leagues. Kyle Moonen is going to join us. And then we also will follow that up with a great interview with Scotty DeJong, who's one of our announcers with Advantage Racing TV. A couple of announcements during that interview, so you won't want to miss it. We'll get started here in just a second.
Welcome to the Pitside Podcast, where we discuss the latest news and developments in the G-Force Racing League, as well as other racing news inside and out of iRacing. Now here's your hosts, the A-Lit Outlaw, Preston Cranmer, and Roger, the Bassman Craig.
Yeah, so like I just mentioned, this is our 25th episode. I think we probably talk about every week how we can't believe we've come this far, but this seems like a good marker.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a fitting kind of time to have the marker. I think this wasn't the most funds we've ever raised, but this was probably my favorite charity event that we've done. Between getting to know Grady, the racing was incredible. Like, I couldn't believe it. The first couple of races were a little bit sketchy, but it evened out, and that last race was absolutely amazing.
It was. Like, we got to do something like that again for sure, because that was, I don't know what exactly, but it was a unique event, and raised, well, we're at $1,400 as of today, which is probably the final number, or we're going to be very close. But no, it was just, again, generosity of the iRacing G-Force League community is just, it is a community, and $1,400. That's not, anything to be ashamed about. That's for sure. That was a significant. And like you say, the interview with Grady was our last episode 0-0. It was, it was awesome for sure.
Yeah, and I think that amount of money is nothing to sneeze at either. And I was really proud too that. We had a handful of guys that aren't typically in our league that came out and raced, but I think more than any other charity event, we had our league guys show up and come out and run, and I like to see that too, because it's just, I guess, a validation of what we do, week after week, to have it wasn't everybody, but a lot of those guys, a lot of our, I'll call them big name drivers, came out to run our event with us, and that's good to see too.
Well, yeah, and I was keeping track of the guys, signing up and stuff, and that's what there was not very many outsiders, and good on the ones that came in, but and it makes it so much easier. Everybody knows the rules, and they know the other drivers. So, the last time with the last event, I was beating the drum pretty hard, trying to get the involvement. We talked about this before we started the show here. It was, well, effortless is a relative word, but it just everybody just jumped on the bandwagon, and it was made for a great event. So yeah, just everybody should be proud of themselves, because it came off great, and mostly because of everybody's approach to it. There was very few protests or anything. Like, there was issues, like any race on the track, but most of the guys were just kind of, they understood it. I remember Kyle Parker doing the one admin, just said, "Hey, we're all here just for a fun time," and I think that's how it was taken, but it also resulted in some incredible racing, just incredible racing. So it was it's one of those feel good things, that's for sure. And that won't be the last we've heard of Grady. That was, I think everybody understands and respects what he's doing, and we plan to do something down the road as well again. So yeah, it was great. And your shirts, I got kudos to you, buddy, coming up with the whole shirt plan. That raised some significant dollars in that 1,400, and it was a real nice touch, and should be pretty. Well, we got some ideas coming down the road, but we're not ready to announce yet. But
yeah, we'll have some announcements coming that way soon. But
I kind of figured it out.
we'll continue to do that for the charity events too.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to raise money, because you guys, our drivers get something, right? I mean, you don't have to win and get a trophy or whatever. You can kind of donate that way as well, and you get something in return. So it was a fun way to do that, and something I enjoy doing. So it worked out pretty well.
Well, I got my Grady shirt, and I can't wait to have it on at the track when I meet some of my fellow G-Force members, and it's a cool thing. So yeah, kudos to you too.
Yeah, and so I was talking about the main event. We talk about it a little bit when we talk to Kyle here in just a minute, but the track was absolutely. I told everybody that I talked to after the fact, it was a motocross track. Like you go down the front stretch, and there was a whoop section on the front stretch, and it was, bone rattling. But everybody did a really good job. There's a lot of contact, but that's to be expected. But everybody, for the most part, managed that contact well. Like you just kind of worked through it. You didn't run anybody over. I think we went the first 120 laps with 3 cautions. I think somebody told me I completely misremembered that, but that's what it felt like. I think you're right. There were a lot of green flag laps, which from the LCQ and the 2 races previous, they weren't bad, but I didn't expect that level of quality of racing.
There was 9 cautions. I looked at it later, and I thought, geez, that's high they were mostly near the end of the race when everybody's getting a little more intense, but the track was just gone.
Yeah.
And but even at that, like you say, the first 100 or plus laps, 3 cautions. But even if you take the 150 laps, like you're doing more than 15 laps per caution. Like that's 1 caution in a 30-lap race. So amazing, really, just amazing.
And saying that, it's rare, but there have been renegade nights on a 30 or 40 lap race where there's been 9 cautions. So that is actually really saying something. I haven't looked at it in that perspective before now, but that is very true.
That's really true, yeah, for sure. So, anyways, we're kind of rambling, but we got a couple of great interviews today. We got the champ. He's so hot right now. He won Sunday night. He won championship tonight, and he won a door prize. He said he was going out to buy a lottery ticket. I don't blame him. And championship week isn't anywhere near over. He's for sure got a big run on Monday night. That's going to be a great race. But and Scotty DeJong, man, those guys are just killing it on Monday and Thursday nights, and he's a cool dude, and that's a great. You want to stick around for that interview because he's real cool dude and really interesting to talk to.
Yep. All right, so let's jump over and talk to Kyle Nell, and Roger and I'll be back in between the 2 interviews to talk for just a few minutes, but we'll talk to Kyle Moonen, our Racing for Grady 150 champion.
Well, we are really excited this week for our very, very special guest. We've been wanting to get this guy on. We've talked about it, Preston, for a while. Kyle Moonen. So what a week he has had. Racing for Grady 150 champ. These guys just got off the track. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Kyle just won the Elite Championship. And in the draw, round 4, he was at the top. And, of course, that's like going to the back of the pack. And he made a brilliant comeback, and I think he drew 8th on the last draw and won a door prize, too. So he's just been on an incredible roll this week. So congrats on all of that, Kyle. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I have gotten lucky this week as far as that goes. I haven't hit the lottery or nothing. We'll try that tomorrow then. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So before we go any farther, I want to address an elephant in the room. So I just finished watching the broadcast, and you guys started 1-2 right at the front. Moonen's going for a championship. Preston's out in the lead, and all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. What the heck happened, Preston?
It's a pretty girl on the outside of the wall lost concentration.
Yeah.
No, I went into turn 4, turn 3 or 4 on the first lap, and was trying to get kind of settled in, figure out where I wanted to be on the track. I don't remember what corner it was. So I moved up to the top line, which I could run okay, and I guess Moonen was already there a little bit, so I bumped him once. But I thought we got it settled in. I looked at my relative; he was still there, so I was like, I didn't completely ruin his race. So then we go into 1 and 2 on the very next lap, and I smashed the wall. and he didn't have anywhere to go, and I think he got hit from behind, and I just completely stepped on it and got flipped over. But luckily, I didn't ruin Kyle's race because I was not running for anything important.
Yeah. So, well, you were kind of like, it would have given you a chance to be in the race of champions. 74 guys have gotten in, and you're still on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks for pointing that out, Roger. This interview's not going real good for me.
Yeah, well, I thought you would come back and say I'm on the outside looking in too, but I knew where I would be. But,
well, I'm getting kicked and I'm down, and I just don't know how to handle it.
Well, it's really unfair. It was an unfair race tonight. It was an incredible finish. We'll get into that, but it was an unfair race. Just 5 minutes ago, we find out that Kyle lives 5 minutes from Lima Land, where you were racing tonight. Like, how is that fair to the rest of the whole field?
Yeah, I know. I moved here in 2009 to go to UNOH and kind of bounced around and moved to North Carolina. And I really, before that, hadn't spent, really much time at dirt tracks, period. I grew up in pavement. That's what my dad ran. And, I had a track there another 5 minutes from my house. I've been able to hear racing from my porch for basically my whole life, actually, and been kind of lucky there. And went to Lima Land some. Went to, what was it? One of the Eldora races, and it was kind of like game over from there. I think it was a King's Royal, actually, was the first race I went to. And then me and some buddies started renting a camper, and we actually started at first. We slept in our trucks and had a tent, and went to a race there. And I've been hardcore dirt pretty much ever since. I still race pavement, but as far as what I watch and what I race on iRacing, it's pretty much all dirt.
So where do you come from originally?
Angola, Indiana. It's the northeast part of Indiana. I could pull out of my driveway one way and I'm in Michigan in 5 minutes, and Ohio the other direction in another 10 minutes. But
so before we came on, you were talking about the car, and so the car, where you said you got to drive 2 hours to get to your car, or an hour and a half or something?
Yeah, it's about hour 45 minutes or so. I go from either my dad's shop in Indiana, or my cousin has a shop on the other side of Indiana near like South Bend and stuff like that, and I kind of go back and forth, and sometimes it's here in Lima, and kind of bounce around a lot depending on what we're doing.
So what kind of car is it that you run?
It's modified that we have now. I started in a 4-cylinder, ran that quite a bit, won a bunch of races, a championship in that, and then the plan was to move up to a modified. And I got hooked up with a guy there at my local track. His son raced sprint cars, pavement sprint cars, 410 wing cars, and he got me hooked up in a ride, and I drove one race for them. And like I said, we had never been around sprint cars. My dad had one buddy up in Butler, Michigan, that ran up there, and we went up and watched him sometimes and did that, and kind of went to sprint cars from there. We only got, I think, 3 or 4 races in, had a bunch of motor problems, this, that, and the other, and then I got iRacing, and I started racing dirt. I've been pretty hooked on that ever since.
So if you had a choice in the real world, now that you've been, on the dirt and all that stuff and exposed to the sprints, like, what would your preference be?
I'm more comfortable on the pavement, obviously, since that's what I've been around and what I know, but I would much rather be on dirt, to be honest with you. It's just kind of a lack of, because like Jesse and them, I know nothing about dirt cars. Jesse and Brandon, Fitz, they all, this is run it, or, we kind of bounced stuff around. Guys like different stuff, and I pretty much run whatever they give me and try to do the best with it.
You do all right, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's working out okay.
Yeah. And especially this season. Seriously, I mean, you've always been a top contender. But this season, and I know Brandon wasn't around for a lot, but take Brandon out of that. I think you've upped your game significantly this whole season. And maybe it helped that Brandon wasn't around. I don't know. But you know, in my mind, I don't know about you, Preston, but I thought, like, Kyle's really kind of stepped it up a notch or two in this current season.
Yeah, and I think that even showed some in the last season as well. But yeah, you've been at the front, the whole time.
Yeah. It's a couple things. I mean, to be honest, I was kind of like Brendan Lacey, how he still is. I was kind of put it in the fence or be up front, and
Brendan's going to kill you for saying
that. Oh, man.
I know. We talk about it all the time. We have a good time. I mean, we blow each other a bunch of shit. We have a good time, but that's how he is. And he'll ask him. He says he's either I put it in the fence or I'm on the podium. So it's kind of
he actually said that, I think, the last interview, more or less, not maybe quite those words, but
yeah.
So yeah. And the other thing I kind of compare it to, as I was talking about that, is Stephen Goldner, like a year, not this past winter, but the winter before. He elevated he did a similar thing where he came from like being a real good runner to like a real great front runner. And I remember asking him about that at one of our lunch deals, and I said, "What have you doing differently?" He says, "Nothing." And then about 5 minutes later, said, "Oh, I got VR." So like, do you run triples? Do you run VR? What are you running? And don't tell me a single monitor.
No, I don't run a single monitor. I run triples, but I like them. I started on a single monitor. I actually started on a fold-up table like that used to eat on as kids at the Thanksgiving and stuff like that, and it rattled, and an old Logitech wheel, and it was terrible. But started there and just kind of kept going, and now I'm on triple monitors and a Fanatec wheel, which I'm kind of waiting on now. Next week I have a direct drive coming, so I'm kind of excited to try that out.
You're not throwing the old one in the garbage, are you? Because I mean, I drive down to pick that sucker up.
Do you? Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of it. So.
What about pedals? You got V3s? Or
yeah, Fanatec V3s, and I like those quite a bit. They're good pedals. I think I'm gonna stick with those. So
that's awesome. So, and I mentioned Steve Goldner. That's your half brother. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah, he is. He's my Canadian stepbrother, I guess you could say. So, yeah, no, we joke about it. I don't know. It's just kind of one of those Discord things when we're racing and joking around and doing whatever. Most of the season we've bounced around. Us two back and forth, winning and in seventh. And I remember here a few weeks ago, I got seventh, and I remember, a year ago when I first started running this league, when I got seventh, I was bouncing up and down. I loved it and did that. And now I was kind of pouting that one night. I think I got seventh, and he was like, "Well, what are you pouting about?" And blah blah blah. And then a couple weeks later, he gets seventh, and he's doing the same thing, pouting. He goes, "Yeah, now I know what you feel like."
So. Bringing up Steven it's a good segue. So unlike tonight for the Elite Division, which Kyle pretty much had locked in going into the race, the Renegades Division that will run its final race this coming Monday, or if you're watching the podcast, tomorrow night, where Steven and Kyle are both it's a pretty thick battle, and they both have a pretty good shot. So
go down to the OK Corral, man. It could be a hot one.
Yeah, Kyle was the end of the team. Kyle was messaging me today trying to figure out like how he could calculate the points to see who's eligible to win what. I'm kind of snitching on him a little bit, but It was pretty funny. I've been there.
Yeah.
Usually it's me trying to calculate how many points I need to stay in a division, but it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, no, dude. To be honest with you, I was seriously same way. Here a year ago, I think I was in the same point trying to figure out what I needed IL wise to stay in the league and stay up there, and and that's what school. Same thing with you guys. You get a little bit better. You run with better people, and you get a little bit better as you go and try to find stuff. I mean, I wish I could tell someone like Brandon, he tells all of us, he doesn't hide anything from anyone and tries to help us as you go. And you find certain stuff, as you go that kind of makes you a little better and it helps. But yeah, between Goldner and I, it'll be a good battle next week. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. So
I'm gonna have to mock up a fake version of the Step Brothers movie like poster with Moonen and Goldner on there. That'd be pretty good.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I could see them passing as brothers. Actually, they have similar characteristics. So,
they talk similarly. That's what I notice. It's mannerisms.
Yeah.
That's.
Yep. I'm trying to get him to come down to Eldora this year. We'll see who can drink more beer and be the better brother then.
We're talking the same thing. So just hopefully the COVID thing settles out and we can make it happen, because there might be a few C2C guys there that maybe we'll have a chugging contest or something.
Perfect.
We're looking at the 4 Crown in September. Hopefully, that's what I'm thinking. Things will be more open back up at least.
Well, but back at you. You need to come up for the Canadian Nationals, which is the week before.
Yeah,
so that would be spectacular.
Yeah, it would be cool. I wouldn't mind checking that out. Honestly, I've been to the King's Royal, the 4 Crown, and the World 100, and I think the 4 Crown is my favorite race, just because the King's Royal, it's cool. You get nonstop wing cars, but then again, after 20 heat races of wing cars, you're like, all right, give me something different. I think the 4 Crown is really what got me into dirt in the first place. We went there and it was just the Silver Crown cars, the non-wing 360s, I think, and then the midgets, and then the wing cars, and it's a cool. That's the one I suggest everyone, 4 Crown. So yeah, if you guys come down, let me know.
Oh yeah, things should be get better by then. So I was supposed to get there like last year, and of course that didn't happen. So that would be phenomenal. Just we're looking forward to meeting each other. Preston and I have sat 2 rows apart at a race, didn't know each other at the time, but our whole team's talking about doing that. So we could have a major party there. That's for sure. That would be awesome.
Yeah, sounds good.
I got to ask you another question, because it was a great finish tonight. I think the guys calculated 4 inches or something you won by over Brandon. So
really,
do you think Brandon backed off?
I was actually yelling at him in Discord after that last caution, because I knew I could see I was kind of catching him, not a lot, not making a bunch of ground, but I could see I was catching him. And I told him, I said, you better be driving your ass off right now, because I don't. If I'm going to beat him, I want to beat him. I don't care if he beats me by a half a lap or a lap or what it is. I want to beat him how it is. And like you said, he swears up and down that the bottom was going away, and he was talking about it, before the race, about the bottom going away there towards the end. And that's what and we all don't run the same setups or the same gear or the same fuel. It's all bouncing around, kind of picking like, all right, the top's going to be there at the end, or the bottom or the middle, and kind of gear for it and fuel for it and stuff like that. And like I said, he swears up and down he ran it as hard as he could, but
it crossed me, because Brandon, I won't say that kind of guy. What I really want to say, Brandon's a great guy, and he will. I've seen him take the other night. He took an EOL in one division that he didn't run regular. Like he's not a guy that wants the limelight and all that stuff. He's very fair guy. But I went back after the broadcast and just reran those last 2 laps just to see it. You know what? I don't think he did. Like he didn't back off. He was he might have been losing a bit, like you say, but it wasn't. There was no intentional. Let's give it to Kyle. So I think you won that fair and square. And despite trying to be taken out right on the first lap by some guy at the front, but,
that jerk.
Yeah. See if there's a protest floats by you. You know, it might come from the winner. Never mind.
I might protest you at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so let's.
I get it though. When you get out, I mean, I've been there. I was there. You know, I'm sure there was a race 6 months ago. I remember. I think the first race I qualified on iRacing pole. It was a hosted race with a bunch of like Griffey and there was a bunch of guys that ran the league at one point in time, and I qualified on the pole and I was all excited, and we took the green flag and I stuffed it in the wall and wrecked half the field before we even hit the start finish line. So it's the same thing in the first race. You know, I think I jumped out front. You know, in the league, it's pretty close to the same, if not too far from, you know, when I've been in a real car. Honestly, I think the real car is a little bit easier because your nerves and everything, you know, when you're going that fast, you kind of zone them out. And we're sitting here like with Fitz, we always joke about shaking the bolts and nuts out of our rigs, you know, because we're sitting up front, and I do the same thing. I'm sitting there shaking and doing whatever, you know, when you get up front and you're trying not to make mistakes. And when you got the guys that we run with in the league, it makes it pretty tough. You know, it does.
But it's all relative. So, you know, the big deal for me on the season now is I transferred to the Renegades the other night, you know, and I had to get I was eligible a couple times, but my IL was like 0.02 too high. So, anyways, but I'm running I think 8th, 9th, maybe 9th. I got Bacchus behind me, and then Cote. And I'm famous for like blowing it the last couple of laps, and I was like a bag of crap by the end of that race. It just held on. And then of course I get in the Renegades, and I just don't want to cause any shit, right? I just want to just stay low. And the best thing about it was there wasn't 24 cars, so I made the feature. But it's all relative of where you are, and it's great. But let's go back to the weekend, because it was a great event. And you had to fight to get into that into the final. You came out of the LCQ, and I think you started somewhere. You didn't start at the front for the LCQ either.
Like, I don't know where I started in the LCQ. I think 6th, 7th, 8th, maybe. And then I started, I think 17th in the big show in the feature.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah. So you did not do it the easy way, that's for sure.
No, I didn't. The first night, you know, I kind of planned on making it in, you know, the first night, kind of running hard. And when you go from the wing cars to the full-bodied cars, it gets, you know, rough. People, and it's not even intentional, you know, it's just
the nature of the car.
Yeah, you have less ground to give up. You know, in a wing car, you have, say, 4 feet or 5 feet to give up, and in a full-bodied car, you have twice that. And it just, you know, didn't work out. You know, I didn't make it the first race. Then I went to the second race, and the heat race turned, you know, kind of went the same way. And I got frustrated. I said, all right, I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys tomorrow and try to make it my way in the LCQ, and hope that didn't go the same way the first 2 races did. And got lucky there, you know, good starting spot. That has a lot to do with it for sure. So when you have to start back there and work your way up, and when we got to the main show, the 150 lap race, you know, I felt pretty good. We had 50 laps, so which makes it really hard for me like the 358s or the 305s, any of the lower horsepower cars, it makes it, 10 times harder to pass and do anything. So I told them, I was gonna try waiting a little bit to see if guys single filed out and just were following. Then I was gonna try moving and making up a bunch of ground. If not, if everyone was, trying to race off the get-go, I was gonna let some cautions and some wrecks happen and make my way up there and start racing. But finally, once I made my way to fifth, I felt really good and was confident and actually kind of cocky, like, all right, I'm gonna chase these guys down. It got harder and harder as I got there. Like Lacey, I spent laps and laps trying to get around him, and once I got around him, I could see Parker and I don't know who it was up there battling, and they kind of got together, and I slipped around the outside of them, and I don't think they could really make up any ground after that. But yeah, it was a good race. It was a good time. And
go ahead.
Were you surprised at the number of cautions? I know there was a handful at the end, but up until the last 20 laps, I think we maybe had 3 cautions, if that. Maybe it's 2.
Yeah. No, I was pretty happy with it, really. It kind of gave you a chance to race around, and I really wasn't sure what to expect, to be honest with you. I mean, I've never ran a 150-lap dirt race, To be honest, I usually stay away from them on pavement just because I don't like racing that long, but no, it made it cool, especially when you're starting back there. I had a little time to be patient, and it's kind of one of those, if it had been a 30-lap race, I might have been lucky to get the top 10 or something like that, but just was trying to be patient and keep the car in one piece and do all that. So
there was some incredible 4-wide racing at the front. Like the race at the front was just like it was unbelievable. And other than the one unfortunate incident, I mean, it was all it was some incredible stuff. But I went back after on the replay, and I was doing a rear chase on your car and Parker's car, and I could just down the straightaway, like they were just how you guys were controlling in the corners, like in the last 30, 40 laps, because they were bouncing like unbelievable.
Yeah, it was wild, actually, and that's why I'm sitting here kind of wondering about this direct drive. I get that, how I can handle that, because I have a Fanatec now. It was seriously sitting there bouncing around, and you're trying to move around, if sometimes even, that half a car down or half a car up or whatever makes a big difference in the bumps. And I was trying to bounce around, and you see Kyle and everyone else in front of me driving right through the bumps, and you're like, all right, what are they doing? What do I need to do? Do you get off the throttle a little bit earlier, or do this, that, or the other? And that's how it was. I mean, I was hopping around.
It's amazing driving, when you look at that and just how much how much bouncing there was, and we're talking 3 and 4 wide while you're bouncing all over. Like, there's some great drivers, that's for sure, and it really made for a great race, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was a good race. I definitely had fun with that one. So
that's awesome.
So change it. Yeah, you knew where I was going. So I was going to change the subject slightly. That's the question I ask everybody that comes on: who is your biggest rival within our league? And no cop-out answers.
Probably Goldner right now, to be honest with you. I mean, definitely the last handful of weeks, we both were kind of fighting there for the top spot, going back and forth, and friendly rivalry, I would say it would be him. Other than that, I don't have anyone specific I could say. It's that's why I like the league. It bounces around. like you've ran good. You've had a bunch of tastes at the lead here recently, and John Short, he's ran good.
Yes.
Obviously, everyone from Rudine is obviously a rival, and try to beat those guys weekly. So,
yeah. Well, your rivalry all comes to a head on Monday, so that ought to be a good show.
I'm looking at that right
Yeah.
now. So Goldner's got 677 points, and you got 656. So and you both run the same number of weeks, so you both get a drop. So it might come down. You've both had one drop. It might come down to how bad that worst week, like the second worst. That's probably what you're talking to Preston about earlier today. Like which week comes off, and how many, how's Goldner's worst week? If you drop out your two worst weeks, you could be ahead of them, like depending on what happens. So there's still lots up in the air, man. And your biggest rival there, that strange cousin that you got from the north. It's going to be a great show on Monday, and a great way to cap off championship week, because it's been a great week so far, and especially just coming right off of the Grady, and so it's and you're on a roll, buddy. So Goldner better be warned, because you are on a roll. So I'd go out and buy those lottery tickets. So, So my question always is your greatest. I don't know whether to call it your greatest racing moment or your greatest iRacing moment. What's your best memory in iRacing, like the one that stands out, other than Sunday night?
Honestly, probably Sunday was probably the biggest race I would say I've won with a huge amount of people. I mean, that show had 60, 55, 60 cars in it, and I would say that was probably one of the bigger ones I've won, actually. That is the biggest one I've won, and tonight was second, or first, second, whichever one goes there, and it's been a good season. I've had a bunch of fun, and I'm looking forward to Monday night. So we'll see how that pans out. We've been kind of joking around. Like I said, I was asking Preston earlier, and then after he told me how to look at it, I was going back and forth, and it looks down to like our drop nights are like a 7th and an 8th.
That's right. I just looked at it too. That's right.
Yep. And we have incident points that go into this, and a bunch of other stuff. So it's going to be a fun night Monday. I'm looking forward to it.
So have you guys got anything riding on the line here?
No, that's a good point.
So
I probably should bet.
Here's what I suggest, because Preston and I have done something similar. So when Goldner comes down for that Eldora race, whoever loses buys the other guy's pit pass.
Sounds a good deal. Sounds like a good deal. We'll do that. So
Goldner will either be thanking me or cursing me, one or the other. But,
yeah. No, I'll set that up with him. That's a deal now. So.
Well, you know what? We could talk to you all night long, and I think we need to get him back again, because we've been wanting to get Kyle on for the longest time, and it's been great. Well, finally seeing you, because I don't think you have a picture on Facebook or anything. I'm not sure, and there's no profile in our league, so or is there? Is there a profile in the league?
No, there isn't. Which actually, just to save myself a little bit, I just look when you're not friends with someone and they go in that different folder. I just got that, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was Barker or someone sent me a message saying to send a picture, and I was like, well, sorry, I should have sent it 6 months ago. I think we sent this, but
we're gonna sick Calder on you. He's relentless.
Yep.
Well, congratulations again, buddy. You got one championship under your belt tonight, possibly another one Monday, so good luck, and we definitely appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me. It was a good time. So
yeah, no, you're a credit to the league, man. We really love having you out there. Anytime you see Moonen out there, you're going to get a clean racer for sure.
Yeah, good. I appreciate it. I do try to, stick to that most forth, and just try to run clean and do what you can and go from there. So
Good luck on Monday.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys.
I got a chair for my Canadian neighbor, but
that's all right. That's all right. I'll pull for you, Kyle. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm pulling for you too.
Us Patriots have to stick together.
Yeah, exactly.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Hey, thanks guys.
Yeah, so that was a pretty good interview with Kyle there. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. We had been planning to have him on for some time, but this seemed to work out to be the absolute best time. Like Roger said earlier, he is on a roll right now and rolling into Renegades Championship night on Monday. So that'll be a good watch. It's almost one of those races that I would consider sitting back and watching rather than racing in myself. But unfortunately, my IL is too high, and I can't do that, so I have to go try to get that down. But anyway.
Yeah, Kyle's such a cool dude, man. I mean, I really enjoy him, and since we started the podcast, we talked. Kyle and Moonen was the name that we've mentioned, and I just always love the interview. You get like tonight, you get this race where he beats Brandon Schultz by like inches, and then he gets on the interview and it was a pretty good race tonight. It's just he's just so cool.
He's one of the most mellow guys in our league, without a doubt, and he always has been.
Just a great, and you know what? He could be the poster child for the league. Like, you know what I mean? He's just a great guy and a great racer, clean and considerate and everything else. So it was great to finally catch up with him. But how was that fair? He's 5 minutes from Lima Land, and we end the season in Lima Land tonight.
Yeah, so. And he didn't mention that until after he won either. Not that we would have changed it or anything, but I'm just saying,
Yeah, for sure, man. So, it's so we got a few things have happened, since our last podcast. Icon Sim Sports, just Rob Neller contacted us. The owner of the company, and he said, like, he's proud as a puppy. Like, this, you got to see my latest, right? And so he's got this R1 Elite chassis that is just so killer, man. I mean, his chassis have been like hot before, but like this one, unbelievable. He has stepped up big time to support our league. So Wednesday nights, Welcome Home Wednesdays, so that's what we're going to call it, will be Icon Sim Sports Hometown Heroes. And they've stepped up. They've got a great product. The cool thing about that is Joe will be doing those broadcasts. We'll be doing like from 7 till 10. All the races will be broadcast like as one show, and it will all be on iRacing as well. Great exposure for Rob Neller and his product, but it's just we got to have him come on in the next week or two, because so what he does is he builds these chassis for custom made for guys, but he shows them what he's doing. He's all the custom measurements and everything, shows him step by step what he's doing until he goes to powder coating, and they did nothing. So it's the big reveal, and he's I don't know if you saw that one thread where he says he has him come in the garage and he plays the theme from
Space Odyssey.
Space Odyssey, and unveils the thing.
Fog machines, flashing lights, everything.
But you know what? Like, it deserves that. Like that just makes sense. Like, it just. And that's the extent and detail that this guy does. So we got to have him on. What we should do is we should get somebody to take one of the reveals. Like, that would be just spectacular.
You're right.
Kind of like those, those home makeovers, and then they always
pull the truck out of the way.
People come in the front door and Or the other thing I was thinking, I can't remember where he lives down in Florida, but next year when hopefully we're all down there. I was thinking today there'll be a tour. Like, if we get a whole bunch of members of the league, we're going to do a road trip to Deller's place, and maybe we can tape a live unveiling there or something. It might be your rig, because you've expressed interest.
Yeah, it's well, hopefully Penny Lee doesn't watch this, because I hadn't had that discussion yet. Thanks, Roger. But I know Rob's been kind of like leaking these pictures just strategically. And I will give him credit for that. He's real good about that. He's a showman, right? I mean, as much as he is a fabricator, and he is damn good at that. but he's good about just marketing it just the right way. But he showed us pictures of this rig and actually we've seen newer pictures since it's gotten further closer to being done. It is insane. It looks like you could slap some wheels and a wing on top and take it to your track. I mean, it looks like a sprint car. I mean, it's framed out, got, mounts for everything. It is ridiculous. I'm hoping he'll let us show pictures on it when we have him on.
I want him to, we got to get that one before he ships it out, because it is absolutely spectacular, man. So anyways, but so we're pumped. The whole Hometown Heroes thing is just, it's getting wheels. It's really getting some traction here. And everybody that hears about it is excited about it. We'll have our regular runs with the 305s and the 410s, and we got all sorts of tours coming in town, and it's just going to be a gas. We're going to have a couple of 100-lap enduros with the street stocks. So the street stocks will come back, but in that form. And of course, that's how they race. They race at the time, anyway.
It was pretty close to the current form, but it is what it is.
So evidently, that's what happened tonight. Like the street stock Bs went flag to flag, and I think somebody made the comment like, "Where was that during the season?" But then the A's evidently didn't let us down, and it was a bit of a caution filled. But anyways, so they'll be around for those. We're going to have some legend throwback nights with those, and every night will be a special night. And actually, I had a couple ideas just tonight in the conversations that have been happening with the interviews and stuff. But we'll have a veterans night. We're going to have a ladies night, like Mother's Day weekend coming up to that. We're going to have kids night coming up to Easter, and there'll be some giveaways on that. So we're still working out details. If anybody out there has like wacky ideas, any kind, just anything that you can think of that would be like super cool. We're trying to get audience participation, and we're gonna interview drivers, like not just post race. So we're gonna, for lack of a better word, right now I'm calling it the bookends at intermission. So we'll interview the pole sitter and the guy at P24, right, and get their perspectives. And during caution, so guys that are racing, they'll be told, like, this is part of it. You could be hauled out of your Discord room at any time to be interviewed. So I don't think we'll interview the guys that are in the wrecks. We don't want to go there. But if there's a caution, we might go out to the leaders, like, what's going on, or the guy in third, like, what do you think, and where do you think you can go with it? And who knows? Maybe we'll get spotters and crews watching the broadcast to find out what the guy behind is going to do. But anyways, I'm getting carried away, but we are totally excited about this. So it's down to, I'll say it now, it's because this is Sunday morning, it's going to be either Lernerville or Cedar Lake. I'm voting for Cedar Lake, but Lernerville, I wouldn't be disappointed in. So we'll let the drivers decide what's the home track going to be, and either track is going to provide some great racing. That they both provide like multiple lane racing, I look at those tracks. That's what reminds me of being like at Ashwaubenon or just whatever your local track is. It just got that. I don't know. There's something about a feeling about both those tracks. Seriously.
Yeah. So
it might be because of the offs. The pits are off the track, and you got to drive out to the pits and back in. I don't know what it is, but there's something about both those tracks. But anyways, I'm voting for Cedar Lake. So I'm trying to influence people right now. But it'll be the drivers that decide where we go.
Do you think a bunch of people are now going to just go vote for Lernerville despite you?
Oh, yeah. They'll pick Lernerville. Like, screw that guy. Just to piss me off.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't forget, I can see where you voted. So, I'll be looking for you on the track. You might get a right rear wheel. Who knows?
Y'all don't worry. Y'all don't worry about Roger. Vote for what you want.
I gotta catch you to give you a right rear. So, and you know what, the retreads, it's now I'm talking to a limited audience, but it's not as limited as you think. It's 16 over. We will consider, like, we might invite a couple of younger kids in the 50s or something, but we're racing twice a week in the afternoon after the regular matinee race, and we do great stuff. We reverse the whole field. So it was today we had a race, and you qualify, and you're really proud to be top qualifier. You're at the back of the heat, and then if you finish like fifth, well, then you'll be back at the B main, and the whole feature is flipped, right? So it's and it prevents it prevents challenges or presents challenges. Like Bill Calder, who's still, he's just coming off that foot surgery, so still struggling a bit. Well, he gets the pole position, so like, the pressure's on the poor guy, like right out of the box. But we have a lot of fun with it, and there's no protests allowed. It's just, what, if you're gonna protest, we don't want you in there. So it's guys are all. It's been a lot of fun. So we got that coming, and now there's, just like last year, there was the pro lates, and there was a big rally to bring them back when we were going to cancel them. We haven't made a final decision, but John Hines leading an attack now to keep the midgets. We were going to cut the midgets down to a four race tour on hometown. The other weeks they're somewhere else. We don't know where they are, some virtual track. But he's fighting to keep the midgets. So that's on the table. Every year we can't get rid of everything we want to get rid of because the drivers won't let us. So the other one is the NASCAR series. So we're following, and I was Gary Taylor says, like, I forget what it was I was talking about. And he says, well, I can't afford anything else. He says, like, I got to buy all these tracks for the NASCAR. Like, it's $400. And I'm thinking, it's not $400. It's like, I don't know, whatever. Well, I did the math today. Like, if you don't own those, I'm lucky. I raced with the old bastards for a while, like half a season or something. And so I've got a lot of those tracks. But, I'm probably going to cost me $100, which is like $150, if you know what I mean. Like, we're Canadian. So, but it's not cheap, but the guys are all committed to it. So we're going to have good turnouts, and the racing was great. Like, the racing was great. Last week we were at, was it Charlotte?
Homestead,
yeah, which was a tough track. And
it's a garbage track.
One caution?
Is that right? Yeah, I think we did only have one caution. Yeah, because
75 laps. 75 laps, one caution, 23 dirt guys that don't know what they're doing. So, and this is premature to announce. So, but this is what happens on these podcasts. Sunday nights, we've got our Skippy series, and I know that's not for everybody, but it's been a great series. But for the hardcore NASCAR guys, Adam Ross is starting up a NASCAR league, and he might kill me for saying that now, but he's starting up a NASCAR league on Sunday nights. So, I know our guys would be more than welcome to race there, and it's going to be, as I've said before, Saturday morning. It's just a bunch of dirt guys. If you want to get serious, you need to go somewhere else. That might be the place to go because he's got some real, like a lot of real drivers racing that. So that could be cool. But yeah, we're really pumped for this next season. Like, we got some new ideas, and I can't wait. And it's going to be really, really interesting. And then, of course, the next thing coming up.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Before we even get to next,
I do all the talking here. So
before and so you'll have to fill in the blanks here. But before the next season starts, we had the Race of Champions. We are still also trying to determine the best name for the earlier races for those of us who did not qualify for the Race of Champions. Roger has suggested the Race of Chumpions. It's pretty good. I personally like the Race of Participants. So you guys can comment and tell us which one you like better. But those are, if you haven't heard about this before, I think as of right now we have 74 guys, give or take, because Moonen was already qualified, but we might have had a couple other guys qualify tonight. I'm not sure.
I don't think anybody yet. We had we had 0 2 weeks ago. We had 2 last week, so it's getting saturated. And if you guys are showing up for the matinees as a last desperation attempt.
Yeah.
But and we should point out. Sponsored by Routine Racing. So they've stepped up, covering those broadcasts. All 3 will be broadcast. And, kudos to those guys. Donovan Ross shows up for a lot of the afternoon races. He's great. He's, he showed up for the one Skippy race, right? He was asking, like, well, when do you pull off to go to the bathroom? Like, he just couldn't get it through his head that we were doing 45 minutes straight. But he shows up. He showed up for the NASCAR race with a white car. Like, he had screwed up his. I don't know whether he did it trading paints or GIMP or whatever. But he says, I haven't got a handle on this yet. Well, it was a pure white car. It looked like Casper the Ghost. So it's but he's funny about going around and putting his window. There's an arm out the window, and he's always got a funny comment. But yeah, the Rudy guys are stepping up for the Race of Champions, and it should be good. So a couple of things, a couple of important points. I've started a league, so it's a Race of Champions league. Sort of like we did for the Grady. So it's just those guys only, so I can set it up, and we're not going to have riffraff showing up that we got to kick out. So you'll be getting, if you qualified, if you're one of those 74, you'll be invited to that in that league. So you need to check that. You need to go and join. If you don't join that league, you won't get in. The other point is 74 racers. There's only 60 spots per race. So there's 3 races. 1 drop week. Hey, have you got the IRLM stuff set up for this yet?
Yeah, essentially. I think we're.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we'll have to talk about the points formats, but I mean, if it's pretty much standard, we're good to go.
Not standard. It'll be standard.
Yeah, then we're good.
Okay, so it'll be 3 races with 1 drop. So Monday night during the Renegades race, the championship race, I'll be coming on an intermission to announce where the first race will be and what car it will be. So I'm just telling you now, there's 3 radically different cars and tracks. So it's going to be a challenge to everybody. And I just encourage everybody though, like it's just like the racing for Grady. Let's everybody have the right idea. These are for fun. There's going to be a champion, but there's also going to be like 59 or 73 losers. So we just want to have a good time with this. But it is a challenge. We'll see cream rise to the top, or what'll happen. So those will be at 9 o'clock, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And we'll have the race of participants or whatever. Now, I'm a little challenged by that, Preston, and we haven't had a chance to discuss this, so we're discussing it right now. That is a combination of, most guys cross over, but there's a few guys, like a lot, that are only in Outlaws. There's a few guys that are only in Unlimited. So I'm not sure where to hold those. I'm thinking maybe hosted with a password.
I thought you created its own league.
No, that's for the Race of Champions. We're now talking about the chumps.
Yeah,
right?
I would put it in hosted with the password.
We're talking about you and me. We're talking about all the losers.
Yeah.
So
there's your password.
Yeah. So those races will be at 7:30, and before this comes on air, I'll have figured out whether they'll be in hosted, or we get everybody to join Unlimited, or everybody to join Outlaws, or we'll figure it out. So, but it might just be out hosted with the passwords participant. I don't know.
We'll put a password. I think that's probably the way to do it. We'll put a password in driver communication prior to the race, and that way everybody that's joined that, which all of our league drivers are supposed to have done anyway, and they can find it there.
Yeah, okay, and there'll be standings for that too. So we'll have a I guess that could be like a participation trophy for.
That's exactly right. That. You have been asking for this for so long, and we finally found a way that you might be able to win. But it's a little bit contradictory too if you have to win the participation trophy. So.
Exactly, but we have cleared out 74 guys to you've been sandbagging all year to win this participant trophy. That's what you've been doing.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure I still have any chance, but So not only will we have 2 races, but the 9 o'clock race on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are all broadcast. So Tuesday and Thursday, we may have talked about this on air with Scotty, but yeah. So Tuesday and Thursday will be broadcast by Advantage, the same guys that do Monday and Thursdays for us now, and Wednesday will be done by Joe White, and that one will be on iRacing as usual as well. So we've got that all covered. Everything will be broadcast. So if you're not able to participate in the Race of Champions, things are getting super convoluted now. I'm sorry, but if you're not able to participate, you're gonna want to make sure you watch it because it's gonna be a comedy show. I think
it's gonna be entertaining.
Yes, without a doubt.
Entertaining, but I think it's gonna be one of those deals where the heats are gonna be a bit of a dog's breakfast, whatever you want, whatever the word is, and. But I think the features will be good. It's going to be 24. The top our drivers, have proven that they can handle whatever. So I think the features are all going to be pretty awesome. And I can't wait. It's going to be good. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited about like that's going to be cool. And then next season, so like I said, Monday night's going to be regular, just like it was. It's our eighth season, basically, of that, of the Tier 360s. And Rustlers will be moving. Tuesday is off. We're taking Tuesdays off. We need a break. More races will only be protest only. We don't want to burn anybody out here. And so Tuesday's a night off. And then Wednesdays will be Hometown Heroes. And, that's going to be, can't wait. Thursday night will be Rustlers are moved to, the D division is moved to Thursday at 7. And we're down to 2 tiers of dirt modifieds. Now, here's the other cool thing about dirt modifieds will be fixed. Okay, but everything will be fixed other than Outlaws, like the Monday Night Outlaws. But the 8 o'clock race will be the B division. It will be 358s. But the 9 o'clock race will be big block modifieds or 358s. So I know for a lot of the guys, say, transferring out of the B, they may prefer to just stay in the car they're comfortable with instead of, and you know what? And the different tracks, like if it's a shorter track, they'll be able to compete, if not win. So we're going to, see how that goes. And then Friday night, midgets might be on Friday night before pro lates. So we don't know yet. Also, we're adding on matinees. On Tuesdays, we will have stock cars, like asphalt, whatever, wherever you're from. Street stocks on Tuesday afternoons. And then Friday, of course, the pickups, the NASCAR pickups. And Saturday will be our, the NASCAR Cup cars. And Skippies will be back again on Sunday. So we've gotten rid of street stocks. We thought we got rid of midgets, but maybe we haven't. We don't know yet. So we're trying to cut back a bit here. And we've taken out one division of dirt modifieds. So the one thing is the broadcast. We were... it should be an inverted pyramid, really, with the divisions. And we didn't. We were getting 35 car counts for C division and then 17 car count for the big block, because we were just trying to figure out where everybody belongs. Well, we figured that out now. So there'll be big car counts for that second race. So it'll be well balanced. Everybody will be more in the proper place they should be in. So, I know I'm going on, but I'm really pumped for this season. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and again, we're back to, we've had a lot of sponsors step up again for this season. Didn't, I guess, need quite as many with less divisions, but we're going to be broadcasting Mondays. We're broadcasting Wednesdays and Thursdays. And
Friday.
And Fridays, right? So we got still a pretty full schedule. So if you're somebody that watches when you're not racing, you still got plenty to watch. So it's probably a good segue into talking to one of our broadcasters who will be covering Mondays and Thursdays again next season, Scotty DeJong. So we've got a good interview here with him. We're going to close out the show with Scotty here. So we appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you back here next week for episode 26.
Take care, everybody. So we're here with one of our newest announcers, Scotty Too Hottie, and he's been with the boys on Mondays and Thursdays with Advantage, Sean Neisted, and Ryan Duggan, and you guys have been killing it. I know I've been talking to you guys about it, but you guys are killing it. You're doing just an incredible job, and I thoroughly enjoy watching the broadcast. It's been great.
Well, Sean and I have been having so much fun just announcing for you guys on Mondays and Thursdays with the A&J Custom Creations 360 Renegade Sprint cars, and then the big block modifieds presented by Epsilon Sprint Wraps on Thursday nights. And we've kind of done some iRacing stuff before, but I mean, this just takes it to a whole different level. And it's been a privilege and an honor to be your guys' announcers on Mondays and Thursdays.
Well, the interesting thing I think I've picked up somewhere along the line is you actually don't have iRacing. So
no, I don't.
You're just watching the stream coming from Ryan or Sean and commenting on it. Is that right?
Yeah, basically. So when Ryan is here, and Ryan and I live together, so whenever he's home and has the broadcast set up and everything, he projects it through an HDMI to about a 52-inch flat screen TV. So I've got my laptop in front of me, and then the screen beyond that on the TV, and just calling what I see off the screen. Sean sends me a duplicate screen of his for live timing purposes. And like Sean said in a few episodes before this one, just picks up the mic and go essentially. So
yeah, no, it's been great. So trying to get the relationship with you guys and Advantage TV, because you guys are going under the Advantage TV umbrella, but I'm not sure. Sean part of Advantage, or how does that all work?
Technically, he's not, but with Ryan Dugan, the co-owner and producer for Advantage Racing TV, who started out doing this, he works for another company as well, just filling in whatever he can, doing camera work, production. So he's been traveling and been on the road and hasn't been able to produce some of the shows.
He's been to Disney World. He's been at Disney World. Let's face it. That's where I've been seeing pictures.
But he's been real busy doing these other races for Speed Sport TV as well, and some of their affiliates. So Sean has come in and been able to produce the shows himself under the Advantage Racing TV tag. And then myself, I've been associated with Advantage Racing TV since about probably 2017, 2018. Advantage started out, I think it was 2015, just at a dirt track back home here in Iowa. And I was asked to hop on board with them as a spotter originally for the cameraman, and announced a couple shows for them as well. And then I've produced a couple shows, ran a camera, done whatever. And now I'm kind of still associated with Advantage Racing TV, but as my announcing career started to take off, we still do a lot of work together. But being part of Advantage Racing TV, I would say it's kind of starting to break off just a little bit due to the announcing.
Well, I thought you made a major announcement the other day that you've just signed on with a new track. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a story behind that. So how I started announcing was in 2018, Advantage Racing TV, we had gone to a track in Minnesota, and we weren't able to get the announcer audio. And Ryan looked at me and he's like, well, you've said to me before, you've kind of practiced doing lineups just off the top of your head or whatever. You want to tag team this one and just announce it ourselves to the broadcast? And sure, why not? Let's do it. And then a similar situation in 2018 as well, where we couldn't get the announcer audio. So he said, well, I've got to run the camera. Do you want to announce? Sure. At that time, it was just to the broadcast. No one in the grandstands or could hear me on the PA. And it got to Raceway Park in Jefferson, South Dakota in 2019. The announcer there, who's now is a very good friend of mine, PJ Pedersen, said, there's going to be a few nights I won't be able to make it due to prior commitments, because we didn't think the track was going to open then. And me and my big mouth, I says, well, I've done a couple of broadcasts, on Advantage Racing TV. I've announced some. If you need someone to, I'm your man, essentially. And never thinking he'd actually call me. The one Sunday morning, I got the phone call from PJ. He says, hey, my other guy couldn't make it. You're up. And I'm thinking, oh, great. What did I do? I shouldn't have opened my mouth. And, to announce to real people who can actually are right there, sitting right there, can throw things at you. What am I getting myself into? And it just started filling in for those 4 races. And then PJ invited me into the announce booth after that and kind of show me some tips and whatnot, and as well as our good friend Jimmy Scott. And then Sean, I had worked with on a few different sides from Advantage Racing TV. So I knew who Sean was. I grew up listening to Sean, and I announced at another track on Saturday nights in 2020 as the only announcer there. And I cannot say enough about Off-Road Speedway for giving me the opportunity to take a chance on a rookie announcer in their first year of announcing. But sadly, it just was not working out for me financially. I was 3 hours from home. Couldn't make it work financially with, road miles and fuel and everything. So Sean had talked to me a little bit, and he says, hey, what are you thinking about, going back to Nebraska? And I said, honestly, I don't know how I'm going to make it work. What are you thinking? He's like, well, I wonder if I can get you out of 990 doing some, pit reporting and like the infield announcer and victory lane interview, stuff like that. Would you be okay with that? I said, man, that sounds good to me. And working with Sean on iRacing for the other leagues that we've done, and then your guys' leagues as well, has been just a privilege to actually work with someone I grew up listening to, but now to work side by side with him at I-90 Speedway in Hartford, South Dakota on Saturday nights. It's honestly a dream come true. I cannot wait till opening night.
That's cool. So does the has the announcing on iRacing helped you, prepare for all that stuff?
I think it has a little bit. Usually in the off season, you don't really keep it in your head to like do lineups or call, like a heat race or anything. And essentially, first night back into racing, you essentially knock the rust off and try to get back into it. With doing this iRacing, for not only Sodak iRacing series, but the GeForce Racing Leagues as well in the off season, it's really helped keep the announcing really fresh and stay in your mind, and just keeping it going, in other words. So you really don't have like a off season per se, but also, in my opinion, is making me a better announcer with every call I get. And like I said, working with Sean Neisted, just calling races with him, getting tips from him on how I can improve as an announcer, as well as Jerry Van Sickle. I've had the privilege to call a few races with Sean and Neisted as well, and just the other announcers that have really helped me out to get to where I'm at today is just truly amazing, and I couldn't thank them enough.
So I'm looking at a big ass trophy over your shoulder there. Like, is there a story behind that one?
So I'm a race announcer now. I used to actually be a racer myself, and this trophy behind me here actually came from my rookie season of dirt track racing. It is a championship trophy, and
that's pretty impressive.
As far as I know, I was the first rookie in the class and at that track to take home a season championship with 0 feature wins on the season. And it was in what they call the sportsman class out here, which is essentially like a pure stock class. And I had been helping my uncle out since he started racing. I think it was like 2014 or something like that. And it's like, all right, my uncle's finally achieving his dream of circle track racing. He's been figure 8 racing for 30 plus years already, and he's always gone to the Friday night races, and that's who got me into racing. And I was his crew chief, kind of knew but didn't know what we were doing at the track, me and my brother, and learned every step of the way along with another race team, Big Bore Racing, and just learned from them. And eventually, with the help of my brother, I got my first car, and it was an old heavy enduro car, but we took it out each week. We were the underdog, but it's seat time is everything. And at the end of the season, I had shown up every night, and I finished every night, and because of that consistency, won me the trophy. But not only that, but with the help of so many others at the racetrack, I couldn't have done it without all the people that helped me my rookie season. And definitely something that I never expected, running a rookie year and winning a championship. So, and the car I actually did it with is this car right here that you see on the plaque. So it was a very interesting but humbling first season of dirt track racing.
So, needless to say, you were the Rookie of the Year as well, then.
Yes, they didn't have a Rookie of the Year award, but they had a Perfect Attendance Award, which you see up top here, the Perfect Attendance Award. So, just like I said, everything that came together that rookie year, I never would have expected, and like I said, it was very humbling.
It sounds like somebody needs to fund the Scotty Too Hottie Rookie of the Year award at the track. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The standard has been set.
that has come and gone, and I've seen guys win championships now, some in their rookie season, and some maybe in their second season. And just the level of competition we have out here is just great, and the amount of talent behind the wheel is even greater. So just to have had the opportunity to race with these men and women has just been great. I mean, even though I'm not racing anymore due to a accident I had, I couldn't ask for better times than when I was racing, and even now with announcing for these people.
So you and I talked one night about that accident. Do you mind talking about it, or?
Yeah. Which one? I've had a couple.
Well, I'm thinking, like, the one where I think it was the last one was the career ender, I can't remember which one was worse, but it was significant.
So I've had two rollovers. My first one came July 20th, 2018. I was 6 races in. In the racing world, bills come first, race cars come second. So I finally got the car finished, was able to get it finished. I was in my 6th race, and I had a terrible rollover, which bent the cage to my car, and come to find out the cage was too thin, to where the right side of the halo bent to a 90-degree angle almost. And in that one, I was battling for position. Tire popped off the bead, rim dug in the dirt, launched me airborne, came down flat on my roof and barrel rolled 5 times, landing on my driver's side door. Walked away with just bruises. No big deal, nothing. It's like, okay, well, financially I cannot get another car right now and can't finish out the season, but I'm okay. I'm alive. Probably should have been killed, but I'm still here. That was in the sportsman division, otherwise known as pure stocks. 2019 came, new car, running with the hobby stocks now, totally different, classic car, ran a full season, did great. We raised a lot of awareness for autism, which I'm a very big advocate for and ambassador for. 2020, brand new body, brand new wrap, still doing it with the autism awareness. And the first lap of the heat race opening night, another car and I got together just ever so slightly coming into turn 3. Just enough to upset the car. I launched off turn number 3 and went airborne and then into a barrel roll once I hit the ground and rolled it over 8 times, coming to rest on my wheels. I felt fine. My shoulder had kind of hurt because the seat had dug into my shoulder a little bit. And it's like, okay, no big deal. Come to find out later, I had torn a lot of my ligaments and muscles in my shoulder, and 2 months to the day of my accident, I had to have complete reconstruction surgery of my shoulder. And that happened on July 15th, and I've finally been cleared to go back to work almost 8-9 months later now. So this next coming Monday, I'm going to be finally getting back to my day job of truck driving. But with that accident, I said, 2 years, 2 rollovers, 2 different cars. Financially, I cannot start over again. Mentally, I can't do it. This has just been too much, and physically with my shoulder, I just could not climb back in the race car. And that's when I announced my retirement, essentially, or that I was done racing, is when the announcing position started opening up, and here I am today.
Yeah, I mean, it just, we just finished the racing for Grady 150, and like an amazing young man, but just the difference between what happened to him, what happened to you, it's sometimes just inches, and just you never know.
And I have to give a big shout out to Bobby Warshak, who was my crew chief at the time. We thought we had my seat in a good spot, and looking at it, he's like, I'm going to make a change if that's okay with you. And he ended up dropping my seat down 2 inches and laying it back 2 inches. And honestly, if it was not for that, I don't think I'd be sitting here talking with you guys right now. So I have to give a big shout out to him for making that change and ultimately saving my life.
So being from Iowa, how far are you from, the big track? Knoxville?
From Knoxville, that's about 6 hours away.
Okay.
From Rapid Speedway, where I used to race at, and it's still my home track. I grew up going to the races there. I live about 15 miles from there. You've heard Sean talk about Huset Speedway, which is 4 minutes from his house. I live about half an hour to 45 minutes away from there as well. And then I-90 Speedway, which I'll be working with Sean at on Saturdays this season, is just on the other side of Sioux Falls there. So I'm about an hour from I-90 Speedway.
We'll have to send. There's a guy on our race team that maybe Joe. Joe's been invited on the podcast. Has never ever shown up, but he's just outside Sioux Falls. From Crooks, and we'll have to have him show up at the track, and you'll see him. He's just a big, tall, long drink of water. And
I think I've met him before. I know the name, so I think I've come across him. But
his reputation's out there.
I've come across so many people in the racing industry. It's unreal. To even being with family out in public and someone recognizes you, it's like, hey, how's it going? And, oh, not too bad. How's everything doing? Oh, good. Hey, we'll see you at the track. All right. And it's like, who is that? I have no idea. Apparently they knew me, but I didn't know them.
So you get back to work when? On Monday, you said?
Yeah, hopefully this Monday I should be getting back in the semi. So.
And where do you
run? It's been a
long haul?
I run locally. I haul a lot of grain. With being in the Midwest, grain is like one of the top essential things that get hauled, along with livestock. But I mainly haul grain and feed ingredients that goes into making feed products for the animals.
Very cool.
Well, and so on top of all this, you also have another side project, the Announcers Booth podcast, that I have somehow heard about. So tell us a little bit about that.
So the podcast thing really came with Advantage Racing TV back in 2018. Like I said, Ryan and I lived together. We didn't live together at the time, and we had just been talking. And usually whenever Ryan has an idea, it's usually, oh no, this is not a good idea. Let's grab the shovel and bury it and hit you over the head with a hammer. Hopefully it'll knock some sense into you. And the one day we were talking, he's like, hey, what would you think if we started a podcast? It's like, that doesn't seem all that bad. And so it was essentially a video podcast like this one was at first, but it was, pre-recorded and then edited and then put on YouTube and Facebook. And we had a great time. And then 2019 came, and yeah, let's do the podcast, but let's just do audio this time. And, still the Advantage Racing podcast. And well, then Advantage Racing TV started getting, busier and busier and busier and taking on more tracks. And Ryan is really busy editing footage and trying to get other stuff uploaded while doing all these other shows for, with Advantage Racing TV and other Speed Sport affiliates and Speed Sport themselves. And I asked him, I said, hey, are we planning on doing the podcast this year? It's 2020. Just want to know what we're thinking. Well, he says, I'm just way too busy. But, the people like it. From what we've heard, we've had a great response to it. Why don't you take it over and just continue it? He says, you like to talk. You basically talk for a living when you're not driving trucks. So why don't you go ahead and do that? Okay, so am I sticking with the Advantage Racing podcast? What are we doing? He says, why don't you pick out a name? Make it your own. You keep doing this. So I thought of a couple names, and I asked a few friends. I was like, well, here's the choice. You got this or this. And ultimately we came to a unanimous decision of the Announcers Booth podcast presented by Rapid Graphics. And the podcast has just been fun. I've had you guys on to promote the racing for Grady 150. Yep. And I've had other guests on, as well as Sean Neisted and Jerry Van Sickle, other racers in the area. And with this podcast, you hear a lot of podcasts that, go after the big names, like with the World of Outlaws, Lucas Oil, USAC, and you don't really see too many podcasts sticking to local racing. So that was the idea behind this podcast, just to stick with the local weekend heroes and weekend warriors, because they honestly, in my opinion, don't get enough credit like they should. So I'm sticking with the local racers, and maybe it could expand to different types of racing in the future. But for me right now, it's all about making sure people know who these weekend warriors are locally, and giving them the credit that they deserve, as well as the small businesses that I advertise for on the podcast as well.
Well, we certainly appreciate you stepping out from that briefly to have some big names like Roger and I come on the podcast.
it's anything I can do the best way I know how to promote not only just businesses but charity and stuff in racing as well. And I mean, I hold charity near and dear to my heart. Like I mentioned earlier, when I was racing to raise awareness for autism, and myself and a couple friends founded a charity called Racers for Autism, and we're still working on holding an event at a couple different tracks in our local area here this summer. So anything I can do to promote my friends' like I said, business or charity, I'll do that to the best of my ability.
Well, you have to let us know when you've got a couple of those scheduled, and we'll make sure that we get the word out as well.
I know June 20th of 2020 at the new Raceway Park in Jefferson, South Dakota, home of Sunday Church in the Dirt, South Dakota style. My co-announcer would kill me if I didn't mention that. We are planning on having a Racers for Autism Awareness Night, and with all proceeds going to the Peer Center for Autism in Sioux City, Iowa, to help out just families and kids and adults that have been touched by autism, and so they can be helped locally. And for wherever it may be, there's a place called Camp High Hopes that is also in with this, that does like a camp style deal from what I'm told for the kids. So just anything that we can do to raise awareness and help these children and adults and families is we do it the best way we know how to, and that's through racing.
That's really excellent.
That's awesome. Yeah. So we usually have a couple of questions we ask.
I think this is the first guest that we've ever had that I just don't know how to like rephrase it. Do you have a rival? Like I ask all of our drivers that come on, and we've even had some other people that have come on that I found a way to ask who their biggest rival is in whatever industry they're in. I don't know how to ask you that. Is it? I mean, maybe it's Sean. I don't know.
Rivalry for announcing, I would have to say I have none. I have a lot of comrades and co-announcers and friends with the announcing in the racing industry. When I was racing, especially in the pure stock division, I always pitted next to my uncle, and he would always come over and, all right, so who's going to win between the two of us tonight? It's like, well, there's a question I have for you. Who prepped your car, and who set your car up? Well, I did. It's like, I know that was usually my job, and now I set my car up the way I like it. So I guess we'll see who comes out up front, huh? So my uncle, and then for rivalries, I don't know if this would classify as like a rival because we were good friends, but in the points of my rookie season, it came down to 10 points when the season championship checkered flag had flown. So I think there was probably a little bit of a rivalry there, but it was more of a friendship rivalry in my opinion, looking back there. But ultimately, I would have to say my uncle Leon Sneller, driver, the number 2 sportsman at Rapid Speedway. Yeah,
that's cool. And that certainly would be a rivalry because you always want to be out doing them.
Well,
so your greatest.
And also with like rivalries too, I used to figure 8 race. I did that for about 10 years. And it was always myself and my brother and my uncle. So I guess those would be considered rivals too when I was figure 8 racing. My brother being my biggest rival, and he is a better figure 8 racer than I am. So
okay, so I got to ask. This is where I have never been to a figure 8 race. I've been dying to go to one. We did an iRacing one. There's the one track. I'm trying to remember what the name of the track is.
Irwindale.
Where is it?
It's Irwindale.
Irwindale, yeah. And it's got yeah, and so we got some legend cars out. I can still remember because I think Ryan Beagle, I just totally wiped them out. But in the real world, so I really want to go. There's a couple things I want to go. It's on my bucket list. Is go to a figure 8 race, especially if they got school buses or they're pulling boats or something. That's the ones I want to see.
Right.
But seriously, the regular figure 8 racing, like, how often do they wreck? Like, you'd think it'd be all the time. I was surprised the race we went in. There wasn't that many wrecks. Guys are kind of watching for each other. But how often does it happen in a figure 8 race?
It can happen more than what you think, but sometimes, though, too, it looks like it's going to happen and it doesn't. The style that I did then that they still do today is the Lyon County figure 8 races here in Iowa. It's basically county fair style. So you take regular carts you've been driving on the road, take out all the glass, seats, basically the whole interior, put a racing seat in, a 4-point cage with an X brace, some racing seat belts, and weld the doors together, chain the hood down, chain the trunk down, and you're good to go. My uncle and my brother, and if I climb back into a figure eight car, we'll see, but we're still using cages that were made probably 20 years ago or so, that my uncle and cousin made just for figure eight racing, real thick tubing, and that get welded in, bolted into these cars, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, we at Rapid Speedway, it's an actual circle track. They take the front stretch, lay a lot of water down, put some big, tractor tires out there, and they race in an 8 around the tractor tires. It's a lot of fun running with the guys that I did, and my brother and my uncle still do it to this day. And honestly, those races sell out more than what the circle track does, especially for the fair race. Each and every year, you're literally touching the person you're sitting next to. And that's standing room only, and just the crowds out here and just the people out here just love that type of racing. And that's where I started. So
not your typical COVID crowd. I guess you'd want that to be.
No, it's not. But before COVID-19 hit, the crowds were like that for the figure eights. It was, standing room only. You couldn't find a place to seat, and touching, basically shoulder to shoulder with the neighbor beside you. And it's just a great response, and it's still a great response even to this day.
Well, maybe I'll get out that way one day and catch a figure eight race with you, because it's on my bucket list, man. I got to see one.
You guys are more than welcome. And actually, Roger, if you go to AdvantageRacing.tv in the replay section, there is a couple of figure eight races in there that you could watch. So, So just look for the 93 car of Scotty DeJong. That's my brother. So, and like I said, he's a way better figure eight racer than I ever was.
That's awesome. So last question before we let you go. Your greatest memory on the track. I'm thinking it might have something to do with that trophy.
Man, there's a lot of them. The greatest one, I don't think I could ever just pick one. Yes, this championship trophy here was one of my greatest accomplishments, and just so humbled that I could come away with the championship. My only, I wouldn't say regret, but my only feeling is I wish my dad could have been there. My dad passed away in 2008 before I started racing, and just to come home with the championship, I wish my dad could have seen it and been there. Being on the track with my uncle, he took me to the racetrack for the first time when I was 8 years old, and 20 years later, him and I are both on the same racetrack in our own race cars, battling for position side by side. Just the friends and family I've made through racing, as well as with the rookie year in hobby stocks, just how much we progressed. And with the Racers for Autism event that we did in 2020, raising $5,207 for a local autism network when we were only thinking we were going to raise maybe $1,000. It's just different memories, I guess, consolidated all into one. I just could not choose just one.
Very good, man. So can't thank you enough for coming on, and give us the name of your podcast and that again one more time.
So my podcast is called the Announcer's Booth Podcast. It usually releases every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Central Time. This past couple weeks it's been a little late. I've apologized for that, but it can be found on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically wherever podcasts can be found. I took a break this week. I took a trip down into Mexico to pick up a couple of race cars for a friend of mine. But that's usually when it comes out, and I'm having so much fun with this and looking to see where it can expand. And also need to thank you guys for having me on the show today as well.
Hey, we're happy to have you, man. It's been fun catching up, and I thoroughly enjoyed being on your podcast as well. It was fun to go back and listen to us talk when I hadn't edited it. So it was a fun change, but we definitely appreciate you coming on, and you're welcome back anytime, buddy.
And I think just before you go, next week is Race of Champions, and
yes.
And Advantage has stepped up. They'll be doing our Monday night championship, and they will be doing the Tuesday night and the Thursday night. So those are cars and tracks that only get announced 24 hours before the race. So I think what I'll do is I'll talk to Sean about coming on an intermission on Monday night, and that's when I'll make the announcement of what the car and the track will be the next night. We've got 74 drivers, I think, that have qualified for it.
Wow.
We can only take 60, so it'll be the first 60 in the room. So a different car, different track every night. So it should be loads of fun. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be stuff that our guys haven't driven before, most probably anyway. So
Right.
It'll test everybody's skills. And so Advantage will be carrying the Tuesday and the Thursday, and Joe White will be doing the Wednesday one. So we've got it all covered with a great bunch of announcers, and and we've got you committed for the next season. That's an announcement in itself. So you guys will be back on Mondays and Thursdays. We're really, really excited about that. So thanks for everything you do for us, and it was great having you on, and we'll have to do it again sometime, buddy. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun calling your guys' races each and every Monday and Thursday night, and I can't wait to see what next season holds in store as well. So, yeah, it's been great, and once again, can't thank you enough for having me guys on your podcast.
Certainly.
Okay. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks, guys.